5 years into marriage, I got pregnant, and Jack was overjoyed to tears. Everyone said I had good luck for marrying a wealthy and influential man like Jack, but they never mentioned his secret affair with a female celebrity. It seemed that everyone forgot that I was the girl he confessed his love to when he was 17. Jack's brother secretly warned him, "You scumbag, aren't you afraid Jane will divorce you?" Jack, full of confidence, lazily replied, "She won't." Later, without any fuss, I decided to terminate the pregnancy. When the news spread, Jack flew back from London overnight. At 6 weeks pregnant, should I or shouldn't I? The doctor asked me this routine question, and waited for my reply with his head down, looking at the chart. I lowered my eyes, gently placed my hand on my flat belly, unable to stop trembling. I couldn't answer the question immediately, so I grabbed my bag, thanked the doctor, and walked out. The gift of fate is timely when it is bestowed, but becomes a burden when it is not. The arrival of this child, like a crack in time, shattered the love and hatred of the past 12 years, along with the biting wind that overwhelmed me. Once, the child Jack longed for had now become a burden. Back when we were young and carefree, no one could foresee the trials ahead. Only Jack, with his back straight as an 18-year-old, shining in the sunlight cracks. I asked him with my head lifted, "What are you thinking about so deeply?" He lowered his head, his thick eyelashes trembling. "I am thinking about my wish." "What wish?" he exaggeratedly exclaimed. "Jane, I have only one wish in my life, and you don't even remember." Nobody only has one wish in their lifetime, don't try to fool me. I only knew of Jack's lifelong wish when he was 18, until I found out when he was 22. In a shabby, cold draft-filled rented house, in front of a simple, cheap cake, he softly said, "Jane, I want to grow old with you, have many children and grandchildren. Jane, let's have a daughter in the future. One who looks like you with big eyes, fair skin, shaking chubby hands, calling me daddy." With the medical report squeezed in my hand, tears fell. I instinctively picked up my phone and called Jack. It was the first time in 4 years since our last argument that I had initiated a call to him, but the phone rang only twice before it was hung up. I was puzzled, staring blankly at the phone screen. Just then, a news alert popped up on my phone, with a sensational headline, "Lisa spotted cozying up with wealthy boyfriend in the Villa district." Suppressing my discomfort, I tremblingly clicked on it. Lisa dared not post anything about Jack publicly, occasionally hinting at him subtly. Media outlets dared not publish Jack's full-face pictures. In the photo before me, Lisa's face was clear, but the man only showed half his back. No one knew Jack better than me, and the hand in the picture still wore a simple, plain ring on the ring finger. Compared to his luxurious attire, the ring was cheap and unremarkable. Yet this inconspicuous ring was something I had saved up for, and bought after a year of scrimping and saving during my first year of work. When we got married, Jack was already a billionaire with numerous listed companies, and we still used those rings to pledge our vows. "Mr. Jack, do you take Jane to be your wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish until death do you part?" "I do." Sitting on the cold metal chair outside the examination room, I chuckled mockingly, but couldn't stop the bitterness in my heart. Ironically, I had hesitated for a moment about the unexpected child before. I tapped on my phone screen and messaged Jack, "When you have time, come home. I need to talk to you." Unexpectedly, the next moment, he replied, "Very busy lately, contact my secretary first." In these years, Jack's business had grown immensely, with countless assets under his name. I hadn't waited for Jack to return that day, but someone else showed up. It was a small private gathering with a few of Jack's friends. When I saw Lisa sneaking in, she intercepted me in the hallway, and upon seeing me, she visibly paused, smirking. Men are trash after all. No matter how beautiful the flowers at home are, they can't resist feasting on garbage outside. It was her first time seeing me, but it wasn't my first time encountering her. She was a well-known celebrity, her figure visible on every street corner. Before I could speak, a voice came from behind me, dripping with sarcasm. "You seem to have some self-awareness, knowing that you're the trash on the outside." Lisa visibly realized her earlier misstep, and her face turned extremely ugly. I turned around and saw it was Jack's childhood friend Bill who made the mocking remark. Now he was Jack's business partner. I smiled at him, gesturing a form of etiquette. This wasn't the first time Lisa had provoked me. 2 years ago, she had made a phone call. After the call connected, she arrogantly asked, "Jack, will you divorce your wife and marry me instead?" I suspected it was her way of intimidation. There were rustling sounds of clothes on the other end of the call, and the next second, Jack's cold and impatient voice came through. "Lisa, if you continue being a damn nuisance, get lost from my side." "Hey, Jack, you." The call was abruptly cut off, leaving me stunned and lost for a moment. 2 years ago, she dared only to use covert tactics, but this time she openly provoked me. Besides Jack's promises and backing, I couldn't think of any other reason. Even so, I didn't bother to say much to her. I just turned around to leave. She stopped me, raising an eyebrow. Jane, you and Jack have been fighting for so many years. There's no love left between you two. It's not a good look to end up as a resentful couple. Why not let go early and not fulfill the lover's destiny? I smirked, said word by word, lovers. She crossed her arms, smugly. Yes, Jack and I truly love each other. In a relationship, the one who is not loved should take the initiative to leave. So, Jane, it's time for you to leave. I looked at her coldly, tore off all pretenses. Shameless pride. Jack and I are husband and wife. Between us, through thick and thin, for better or for worse. Even if I have to be with him for a lifetime, it's not your place, a homewrecker, to intervene. You stand arrogantly in front of me, asking me to leave. By what right? She seemed taken aback by my words, took a small step back, her hand unconsciously on her stomach, then raised her voice, because I'm pregnant with his child. My gaze involuntarily moved to her abdomen. At that moment, Lisa's voice spun around in my mind like a whirlwind, piercingly painful. Pregnant, a child. I felt dizzy, as if the whole world was spinning. Seeing me stunned, she raised an eyebrow triumphantly and said quickly, "You've been married for so many years, no children. The child in my belly is his first. Do you think he will marry me for this child?" I suddenly burst out laughing, feeling everything in front of me suddenly meaningless. My whole body felt weak. My limbs gave way. At that moment, Bill, who was beside me, reached out to support me. "Are you okay?" I smiled at him. "Did you hear that? Jack's first child." Bill pursed his lips, remaining silent. Suddenly, footsteps approached from behind Lisa. I looked up and saw Jack, whom I hadn't seen in many days. He had a cold expression, dressed in a sharp suit and a black coat, his refined face furrowing his brows. Jack glanced at me, his eyes dark and unclear, then caught sight of Bill holding my hand. Lisa called out to him in delight, but the next moment, Jack's expression turned icy. He harshly grabbed her hair and asked menacingly, "Who told you to come to her? Do you want to die?" Lisa screamed and cried, "Jack, I didn't mean to. I'm carrying your child. Don't you care about your own child?" Jack glared at her coldly. "Are you sure it's my child?" He let go abruptly, his voice sharp. "Get lost." Lisa covered her head, not daring to look at him again, and scurried away. After she left, the quiet hallway was left with just the three of us, silence spreading. Suddenly, Jack tilted his head and looked at Bill. "Bill, do you like Jane?" Bill blushed at his words, stammering, You, what nonsense are you talking about?" Jack didn't care what he said. His dark pupils firmly locked onto me as he said to Bill, "Your liking doesn't matter. Jane is my wife. She can only be with me for the rest of her life." After saying this, Jack retracted his gaze, turned around, and walked away. I saw Bill chasing after him, whispering to him, "Jack, if you continue like this, are you not afraid Jane will divorce you?" The mention of divorce seemed to stimulate Jack. He paused, his steps halted before he replied after a while, "She won't." I looked at the message Bill sent to my phone. This jerk, taking advantage of the fact that you love him so much. That's why he's so cocky. Bill was a playboy, known for his promiscuity. He hasn't married yet, claiming that he didn't want his freedom taken away. Even Bill thinks you're a jerk. So, Jack, how can you be so sure that I will always love you? In youth, no one expected that deep and passionate love might turn into contempt and harsh words when they grow older. At 17, Jack possessed everything: knowledge, family background, looks, and a good personality, making him the most dazzling figure. Back then, it was incomprehensible why, among the noisy crowd, I only saw his eyes. I only realized later that when he was everything, there was nowhere else to look. And when the younger Jane was passionate and exuberant, no one would believe Jack could like me. But for so many years, through spring and autumn, he stayed close behind me. He had no qualms openly proclaiming, "I like Jane." In class, he would boldly say, "I like her. So punish only me if you must. She knows nothing." Early love. No, it's one-sided love, still in pursuit. I was probably so happy then, with a slight smile at the corner of my mouth, watching his eyes fill with laughter. I secretly grabbed the hem of his clothes. "Jack, restrain yourself and study well." Jack, clad in a black bomber jacket, stood casually with a lazy posture, looking at me, eyelashes naturally half-masking his long eyes, the corners of his eyes slightly turned up. "No way. Bill told me there are plenty of guys in school interested in you. I need to make them back off." How cocky was he, standing at the podium with his hands in his pockets, casually solving math problems no one else could figure out. While doing so, he explained to his classmates nonchalantly. Upon finishing, cheers erupted from below. In the midst of the warm applause, Jack turned to look at me, the setting sun's light slanting in from the door. He faintly raised the corner of his lips. I lifted my book, silently covering myself, blushing behind the pages filled with the scent of ink. At that time, the spring breeze carried gentleness, carrying the girlish plum scent of secrets, and also blowing over the white shirt of youth. The windbreaker of youth once wrapped the grandeur of an entire adolescence. Everyone envied and said we were a perfect match, destined to be together forever. During the college entrance exam year, we both got into the same university as we wished, but enrolled in different majors. The first time Jack waited for me after class in our third year, my dorm mate Ella excitedly shook my arm. "Jane, my God, there's a handsome guy waiting for you outside. I already inquired for you. He's Jack from the computer science department." I looked out the window, Jack leaning against the railing, tall and conspicuous amidst the passing crowd. I smiled at him, silently thinking, "Jack, I recognize you." He spoiled me to no end during those days, becoming increasingly delicate. He would clamor for food in the middle of the night. Then the next morning, he'd be waiting outside the dorm with something warm in hand. During our college days, we, like countless other couples, were clingy and passionate. When he went to kiss me, I would angrily say, "You keep finding me. I can't study properly. If I fail my exams at the end of the semester, don't expect to see me anymore." Jack chuckled mournfully. "I'm sorry, it's my fault. How about we go to the library? You do your work, and I won't say a word." Ella described us at the time as childish yet enviable. In our senior year, Jack's father passed away, exposing a company teeming with debts behind the facade and driving his mother to suicide. Overnight, the arrogant favorite of heaven fell to the ground, and I didn't see Jack for nearly a month. Until that day, he looked thin, shoulders slumped, walking out of the room, and the first words out of his mouth were, "You can go, I won't keep you." I glared at him, gritting my teeth. "What do you think I like about you? Your money or your family background?" "Jack, you bastard," I said, my eyes red, tears falling one by one that I couldn't wipe away. He stepped forward, bent down, gently wiping my tears. "Don't cry, Jane. I can't bear to let you stay with me like this." That Jack, alone, without parents, with no light ahead. But no matter what, his wish never changed. Jack still wanted to grow old with Jane, with children and grandchildren. When Jack first started his business, he had difficulty securing funding, so I secretly gave him the dowry money my mother had saved for me. When he found out where the money came from, he rested his head on my shoulder, his hand holding the back of my neck, not letting me turn to look at him. "Silly girl, even if I'm out of options, I wouldn't dare to use your money. Keep it safe. One day, it will be used where it should be," he said. Later, when the business started to thrive, he faced difficulties with investors, where a glass of wine cost 100,000. That night he secured 2 million in investments, and was taken to the hospital with a perforated stomach. He often worked late into the night, sometimes staying up so late that his stomach ached, and he would come into the bedroom and place his cold face on my palm, softly calling out Jane, with a hint of grievance. My unwavering sleep would always be interrupted by his first call. When he was exhausted, he would bury his head in my arms, eyes closed, resting. I would gently massage his abdomen, one hand on the back of his head patting it, running my fingers through his clean-cut short black hair. "My favorite place," he said. "Jane, I won't let you regret being with me." Later, on the summit of a snowy mountain, the endless freezing wind accompanied him. At the St. Napai Bay, the huge waves became my veil. Jack's proposal stunned the world, and countless netizens dug up the protagonist behind the grand proposal. "Jane, will you marry me?" How did I react back then? I remember, my eyes were all on him, covering my mouth, happiness jumping out of my eyes, collapsing rationality, faith becoming a sweeping fever, sincerely and devoutly. "I do, Jack. I love you so much." I often asked myself, do I regret my choices? I've thought countless times, even if the outcome isn't as expected, I think I don't regret loving each other. Those 12 years, though a foolish episode in my past youth, were ultimately the bravest chapter. Fate is cruel, but also kind in that as long as you keep moving forward, it will always give you away. I never wanted to see Lisa, but she was held in high regard by Jack, from an unknown actress to a top star, her presence permeating my life. As I searched for the contact information of obstetricians, her information was pushed in front of me. A selfie of herself at the movies and a brightly lit villa with rows and rows of jewelry and unopened designer bags. Captioned, "Apology accepted. This princess forgives you." It's obvious someone took her to the movies. The value of those bags and jewelry was no less than 20 million. I blankly closed my phone, my already empty heart unable to stir a ripple. At this moment, there was a noise coming from the entrance. I looked up. Jack, holding his coat sleeve, bending down to pick up slippers, as if sensing something, he looked up and saw me sitting on the couch. "It's late. Are you still not sleeping?" His tone was as light and cheerful, as if he had just returned from work, and greeted his wife warmly. I looked up at him, smiled. "Did you go watch a movie with Lisa?" Jack paused at his actions, looking at me with some surprise. as if wondering how I could ask that question in front of both of them. It was the first time in so many years that I mentioned Lisa in front of both of them. After a moment of trance, he picked up the cigarette box from the coffee table, pulled out a cigarette, and clicked the silver lighter with a cold light. Leaning against the sofa, fingers reddened by the cigarette, fatigue stacked in his eyebrows and eyes, he squinted and asked, "Do you care?" I looked at the cigarette in his hand, instinctively placed my hand on my stomach, but then decided to put it down. "When I care, have you cared before?" I asked him, somewhat amused. He should note that I was talking about 4 years ago, that incident that marked the beginning of our broken marriage. At that time, Lisa was a new actress, barely known in the industry, 18 years old, young and beautiful. That was the best age. She would open her wet eyes and call him Jack. For a long time, he finally spoke, his voice stuttering. "Is it because of Lisa?" He pondered and slowly said, "As long as you say you care, I can make her disappear." When did the once clean and clear Jack turn into the ruthless, selfish man he is now? I asked him, "She's still carrying your child." "That's not my child." A sneer appeared at the corner of Jack's mouth. "What? You believe whatever she says? If she says it's mine, it's mine. My child can only be mine." I interrupted him calmly. "I don't care, Lisa or anyone else. I don't care at all right now. So you don't need to tell me all this. I just want you to promise to divorce." Under the bright light, Jack's face was pale as paper, and a hint of sickly smile flashed in his eyes. "Of course, you don't care. You, Jane, are like a stagnant pool now. Even if I die in front of you now, you won't even blink an eye. What else do you care about?" I had no desire to argue with him anymore. Like dealing with a stubborn child, I stood up and said calmly, "Regarding the divorce, I hope you can give me an answer tomorrow." Jack's voice echoed from behind, hoarse and cryptic. "What if I don't agree? What if I don't agree to the divorce, Jane?" I stood at the corner of the stairs, holding the handrail, and turned to look at him. The man I loved when I was young gradually overlapped with the figure in front of me, bringing a wave of sadness. "Jack, these years with you, I haven't been happy at all. This unhappiness is slowly draining my life inch by inch." Tears fell from my eyes, and I told him clearly, word by word. "Sometimes when I fall asleep at night, I wonder if I'll never wake up the next day. 4 years ago, we should have divorced, but we've been futilely entangled all these years, just because I couldn't accept why I had to make concessions for another woman." Jack, like a static sculpture, slumped on the soft couch, his proud head hanging low, his figure blending into the darkness, not saying another word. The next day when I woke up, Jack was gone. I looked at the empty villa, realizing he was avoiding. I didn't understand what he still wanted at this point, but since I had made up my mind to divorce and had spoken with him about it, I felt a lot better. The heavy emotional burden that had weighed on me for years seemed to disappear in an instant. 3 days later, there was a charity banquet at the group, and until the divorce was finalized, I still had to attend as Jack's wife. On the day of the banquet, Jack was still absent, and no one could control him. But that night, I unexpectedly saw a familiar face, and I hesitantly called out, "Ryan." A man in a smart suit, standing cold and aloof under the lights, casually looking down at the ground, indifferent and apathetic. In that moment when he turned around, his cold and lonely expression softened for a moment. He hesitated for a moment, then walked over, politely pursing his lips and saying, "Jane." I was surprised to see him here. I had personally sent him the invitation for this event, so I remembered inviting him. What surprised me more was that he actually came to participate in this event. Ryan was famously low-key in the entertainment industry. Despite holding multiple awards and hit movies in his hand, he was so elusive in the industry that his fans even believed acting might just be a side business for him. I remembered one year when Ryan's rival spent 3 months trying to dig up dirt on him, but only found his outstanding academic achievements from childhood to adulthood. It could be said that this digging for dirt directly elevated him to the highest position. Thinking back, after graduating from college, I seemed to have only seen him on TV, and I looked up at him, smiling and greeting. "How have you been these years, Ryan?" Ryan's eyes were beautiful and intense, with starry glints in them, and he nodded, "I'm okay." After not seeing each other for a long time, silence spread between us. I was about to say goodbye when Ryan suddenly spoke, his voice soft and strangely sad. "You haven't been happy these years." It wasn't a question, but a statement, quite impolite and offensive. Yet his expression looked exceptionally sincere. As someone in that circle, he must have known about Lisa's situation. Suddenly, I remembered a storm Ryan had stirred up on social media 2 years ago. As his fans described, Ryan was a very zen person. No matter how others in the entertainment industry tried to smear him or ride on his fame, he never even glanced in their direction. That one time, when Lisa used him to hype things up, he personally posted a message to clarify the situation. It's hard to imagine how he, such a cold person, came up with those insulting words. Thinking about this, I smiled at him. Yeah, but I'm about to break free from this misery soon. Ryan turned his head and looked at me, his eyes questioning, but he didn't ask. Just curved his lips and said, "Congratulations." A smile involuntarily spread across my lips, a smile that came from the bottom of my heart. All these days, anyone who heard about my impending divorce shook their heads and said I was being foolish. They had all sorts of excuses, trying to make me hold on to this broken marriage. They advised me, saying, "Jack just found a mistress. It's not like he doesn't love you." They said, "All men are like that. There isn't a man on earth who doesn't cheat. As long as he still comes home, it's fine." This was the first time I had heard a congratulations. 2 words. I raised my glass, happily clinking it with Ryan's. "Ryan, what did you tell my wife? You seem so happy." As the voice dropped, a large hand was placed on my waist. My body tensed for a moment, even the hand holding the glass stiffened a bit. Jack half embraced me, intimate in posture. I raised my head and collided with his emotionless black eyes. "Long time no see, Jack." Ryan glanced at me and extended his hand to Jack, polite but distant. Jack shifted his gaze away from me, lazily looking at Ryan, a smirk on his lips. "Indeed, long time no see. I'll have someone take care of you." I glanced at Jack, seeing his clenched jaw, wondering what he was thinking. There was nothing to say to Jack, so I nodded at Ryan and left first. Little did I know, behind me, Ryan called out to Jack. He asked Jack, "I thought you cherished her so much back then. I thought you would always be good to her." Jack stood there, his face cold, his gaze at Ryan faintly fiery, as if he could devour the opposite person. After a while, he carelessly smiled and said, "Does it concern you?" Jack couldn't figure out what he was afraid of himself. Since college, he knew Ryan didn't like Jane's type. Without waiting for Ryan's response, Jack coldly said, "Ryan, stay away from Jane." After the dinner that night, Jack seemed to disappear again. I didn't expect that when I saw Jack again, it would be in such a situation. On the evening of September 12th at 5 o'clock, there was an incident of armed hostage-taking in the commercial building, and I unfortunately became a hostage with a knife at my neck. The scene was chaotic. People were trying to escape, calling the police, but everyone ran outside without exception. However, I couldn't just run along with them. I struggled to keep my trembling body balanced, unable to control the fear. The assailant screamed desperately, "Don't come any closer, or I'll kill her. Let the police come. Let me negotiate with the police." Jack arrived before the police did. He seemed to rush over from outside, with disheveled hair, and when he saw me, his face was extremely pale. Jack took a few steps forward, enraging the assailant. "Don't come any closer." He steadied his steps, trying to restrain his anxiety, and said calmly, "I won't come over. Do you want money? I'll give you as much as you want. The police won't pursue you. I can guarantee it." The assailant shouted at him, "I don't want money. I just want justice. I want the police to communicate with me." He put everything he had on the ground and showed his phone to him. "I'll come over like this. I'll exchange myself for her. I am the chairman of the group. It's more valuable to hold me hostage. I can help you communicate with the police." I widened my eyes, struggling to speak. "Don't come over, he has a bomb." Jack continued to persuade him. He was always convincing, and with the assailant's brain in a frenzied state, he really listened to him and exchanged me for the hostage. As he came over, the assailant took out another knife from his body, stabbed him hard in the arm, disarming his resistance, then pushed me away with the knife on his neck, forcing him to cooperate with Jack. In a hoarse voice, he said, "Run outside. Don't look back." The police arrived soon after. They forcibly took me out, and I grabbed their hands, looking back at Jack, begging them to save him. They pushed me out forcefully, and I knelt on the ground, my mind blank. It wasn't until I couldn't hold on any longer, kneeling on the ground, that the door opened from the inside. There was no expected explosion, no Jack, cold and lifeless. I leaned on the steps, tears streaming down my face, watching Jack walk out from inside, holding his arm. He came over, lifting me up from the ground. I buried my head in his arms, crying uncontrollably, breathless. In a moment of panic, I called out to him, "Jack, I'm here." He replied softly. I almost cried out, asking him, "Why aren't you afraid of death? Why?" I didn't ask further, and Jack remained silent, not pressing on. Because we both knew, the unspoken question was, why aren't you afraid of death? Why don't you have the courage to love only one person for a lifetime? Jack, is it really so hard to love only one person for a lifetime? After a long silence, Jack trembled, holding me in his arms, his voice pleading softly, "Jane, let's live well from now on, I beg you." During the incident that made the headlines on social news, Jack went abroad on business. The day before going to the obstetrics hospital, I sat in the bedroom for a long time, from the chirping of birds to the setting sun. Even with a heart of stone, I couldn't help but fantasize, What would this child be like, more playful or quieter? I gently patted my stomach, tears falling, apologizing to it. I'm sorry for meeting you in such an inappropriate situation. I'm sorry. I can't bring you into this world. However, at the hospital, I saw Lisa. I learned that she had been exposed to a lot of negative information online during this time, and her career was almost destroyed. As her victim, I actually found it quite entertaining, but I was too lazy to mock her. As I turned around to go in, Lisa suddenly noticed me and rushed towards me. I didn't have time to step back, and the bodyguard, who had been following me all this time, grabbed her. Lisa glared at me fiercely, shouting, "You encouraged Jack to get rid of my baby, didn't you? Jane, you bitch." I opened my mouth in disbelief, watching her struggle, my throat feeling a bit tight. Lisa fought to speak, her eyes turning from malicious to bloodshot. "You're divorcing him, and after you leave, who else is going to be Jack's wife if not me? I've been with him for so many years." Choked up, she continued, "Jane, I admit that I originally got involved with him for money. I used all my skills to seduce him, getting him to invest in me. But now, I truly love him. I really do love him. I want to marry him. I want to spend the rest of my life with him." "Lisa," I interrupted, calmly and bitterly advising her, "next time, don't become a third party in someone else's marriage. It's not going to end well." I turned around, leaving her calling after me, "Jane, can you help me speak to Jack? Convince him not to kick me out, please." After this melodrama, I felt tired inside, standing in front of the consultation room for a long time. I looked up at the sunlight streaming in slantingly, straightened my back, and walked in resolutely. As that little life slowly slipped away from my body, my tears seemed to dry up slowly, as if to cry one last time for these failed yet beautiful 12 years. The day after I returned from the hospital, Jack flew back from London. He rushed back to the villa, his eyes bloodshot, demanding, "Why did you go to the obstetrics hospital?" I replied, "I terminated the pregnancy." Jack went mad, smashing everything in the room. Finally, he grabbed his waist and pointed at me trembling. "Jane, why? That was our child." He knelt on the ground, hands covering his face, burying his head in my lap, his shoulders trembling incessantly. "Jane, that was our child." I looked at him calmly. The now frantic Jack, just like me 4 years ago when I was losing my mind. Yet, there was no pleasure in my heart, only endless sadness. That child, a mistake from the start, was pushed beyond limits on his birthday by my moment of weakness. I sighed, "Jack, let's get a divorce." "I won't agree." I asked him, "Or do you want me to die bit by your side?" Hearing these words, Jack's eyes shook violently, standing rigidly in place, his gaze filled with confusion. Jack spent the whole day in the room, the door locked. He only emerged when the sun rose until it set. Looking at me, he spoke calmly, "Jane, I agree with you. Using litigation and lawsuits was not the approach I wanted. I didn't want things to get so ugly." That he could agree so calmly made me unintentionally breathe a sigh of relief. The divorce proceedings were swiftly completed, taking only 3 days. During those 3 days, Jack seemed to return to his former self, smiling as he took care of everything, speaking casually with me. On the day I left the villa, squatting down to pack my luggage, Jack sat quietly on the sofa, watching me. After a while, he spoke, "You have 3% original shares in all my companies. You can do whatever you want with them. The several houses outside and the villa in West Mountain Park are all transferred to your name." He handed me a bank card, placed it on the table. "This card has a deposit of 300 million. Take it." It was the first time I had heard of original shares, but right now, I couldn't be bothered to ask about it. What Jack gave me was enough to live worry-free for several lifetimes. I couldn't be so noble as to refuse his money. So, I took the card and accepted everything he offered, which was owed to me. "Thank you." Leaning against the sofa, Jack, other than his eyes, seemed devoid of energy. His eyes followed me as I moved around. After about 10 minutes, he suddenly said, "Jane, it's late today. Stay another night, and I'll drop you off tomorrow." I looked up at him, smiling, shaking my head. "No need. My mother is coming to pick me up." Upon hearing this, Jack immediately stood up. "Your mom is coming. Let me go and bring her up." Hurriedly grabbing his coat, he moved to leave. I called out to stop him, "Jack, don't go." He halted, looking at me with puzzlement. "My mom used to praise you every time she saw you," I explained. "She used to genuinely like you a lot, but you hurt her daughter, and I don't think she would want to see you now." Jack clenched his coat tightly, his fingers turning white. Taking a few steps back, he fell back on the sofa, defeated. Pushing the suitcase, I walked to the elevator. Jack remained silent, his head hung low. I called out to him, "Jack." He looked up, smiled at me. I had anticipated a divorce to be a messy and public affair, but I hadn't envisaged it to end in such a dignified manner. I smiled, "I'm leaving." He wanted to see me off, but I stopped him, splitting us in two by that door. Bowing his head to the threshold, he blinked, If there's anything you can't handle in the future, come find me. As long as I have the capacity, I won't ignore your issues. Turning away, I waved, not saying a word. After the divorce, I logged into my long unused Twitter account and posted a newly drawn cartoon. Soon, fans started commenting. Am I seeing this right? Is this drawn by Moon? Upstairs, that's her. I never thought I'd see Moon return to her old art style in this lifetime. It's so heartwarming. Who knew Moon's dark art over the past years? If I didn't genuinely love her, I would have unfollowed long ago. Considering the dark cloud over my unhappy marriage in recent years, even the things I produced carried a sense of death. This divorce, I thought once again, was the right decision. Scrolling down, I saw a familiar ID. Great drawing. I hope you can be happy every day in the future. This ID was one of my old fans. I remembered in my sophomore year when I first posted my work, he followed me. Since then, every post of mine received silent likes from him. Every piece of work received a comment saying it was great. Keep it up. Even during these years when my works were harshly criticized, he still insisted it was great, and not to give up. I smiled and replied, thank you. Strangely enough, the person I most frequently encountered recently turned out to be Ryan. One time, he walked a dog, and I stared for a while before asking, is that dog the one from back then? Back in my sophomore year, Jack and I found an abandoned puppy off campus, and its ownership became a problem. But neither of us was patient. Especially when I was busy drawing comics. Ryan offered to help solve the problem. I thought he would find a new home for the dog, but instead, he raised it. Smiling, Ryan with a faint dimple at the corner of his lips said, yes, it's getting old now and doesn't go out for walks often. Surprised, I squatted down and petted the dog. To my amazement, it was unexpectedly friendly. I remarked, you've taken good care of it. Ryan then mentioned, it has puppies too. If you want to see them, I'm sure it would be happy. I nodded without much thought. I had no intention of actually seeing those dogs. It felt too intimate and inappropriate. However, the next day, Ryan brought the puppy over. As soon as the dog saw me, it wagged its tail and was very affectionate. No one could resist the closeness of the little dog, and I was no exception. I blamed Ryan for raising them so unreservedly. But later, I discovered that the dogs Ryan raised were as aloof as he was. They were not used to being touched by strangers. It's easy to see through emotions in the adult world, especially with Ryan being so straightforward. I had to tell him, Ryan, I'm not ready for a new relationship. I enjoy my life as it is, and I have a fear of marriage. Ryan pursed his lips, smiled, and said, Jane, don't be afraid. I'm telling you I like you not to get a response from you or to force you to be with me. I just want you to know that now and in the future, whenever you're happy or upset, there's someone in this world who is attracted to you, who is captivated by you, someone who was and will always be. Sometimes I wonder, how did Ryan blend indifference and gentleness so perfectly? 2 years later, Ryan's long-dormant studio announced his marriage, causing a sensation. The news sparked discussions about Ryan's wife. Some netizens, digging deeper, found out that Ryan was marrying the ex-wife of the chairman of the Jack Group. Some fans couldn't accept this and lashed out at Ryan online, calling him a vulture for marrying a divorcee. Some even went to Jack Group's official social media account to hurl insults, leading to comments being disabled. Financial reporters, seizing the opportunity, interviewed Jack to ask for his thoughts. Jack, on camera, remained silent for a while before finally saying congratulations. Following the press conference, the online community fell silent. Throughout his eventful life, Ryan had never cared about what the entertainment industry or the public thought of him. The only 2 times he made headlines were because of Jane. After the silence, some fans unearthed Ryan's secret social media accounts and discovered the secrets he had hidden for many years. Jane, looking down at the comments analyzing fervently under a familiar username, and then taking off her shoes, ran barefoot to the kitchen. Ryan, dressed in light grey loungewear, was bending over to slice fruits for Jane. She tentatively called out that username. Ryan was engrossed in arranging the fruit platter, and absent-mindedly responded. Suddenly, he froze, turned to look at Jane, and softly said, I don't know what you're talking about. Go put on your shoes. Jane, staring at her phone and then at Ryan, burst out laughing, covering her forehead loudly. Behind her, amidst the bold and exaggerated laughter, Ryan involuntarily laughed along. Ryan and Jane's wedding was widely talked about. Bill rushed from the airport to the wedding venue and bumped into an old friend at the entrance. Bill checked the time and, seeing he wasn't late, approached Jack and tapped his shoulder. Aren't you going up to take a look? Jack flicked his cigarette ash, glanced up at the splendid building, with guests bustling in and drummers making noise. He took out a box and handed it to Bill, saying, newlywed's gift. Could you take it up for me? Bill took the box and raised an eyebrow. Why? Jack choked on his smoke, coughed for a while, tears welling up in his eyes, and then chuckled. Afraid she won't accept it. As a last instruction, he said, Don't mention it's from me. Bill asked again, you really won't go up? Jack shook his head. Why watch? Amidst the distinguished guests, witnessing their vows, seeing how they love each other, he couldn't bear to watch the person once so cherished, so valued, whom he had put in so much effort to embrace, now embraced by someone else. Bill patted his shoulder. I'll go up and ask for a glass of wedding wine. Perhaps never having had it, it wasn't that hard to let it go, not quite so distraught. Bill watched Jack move into the crowd, his desolate figure gradually fading, and he smiled almost imperceptibly. His intuition told him this was just the beginning for Jack. A beginning he might never get through. Jack sat heavily in the car, staring blankly at the building. Little did he know the thoughts Ryan had kept hidden for so many years. When he finally found out, he wished he could kill him. Jack lowered his head, then suddenly burst into laughter, his chest resonating with each chuckle. He would not tell Jane that her favorite birthday gift, a box full of comics that she cherished as the most thoughtful present, which he had prepared but failed to deliver that year, was given to him by Ryan. When Jane left, she didn't take this gift with her. It remained untouched in the villa. He would also not tell Jane that when she was being maliciously targeted online with false rumors, Ryan took care of everything on his own. Back then, Jack patted his shoulder, called him a good friend, and Ryan didn't say a word. Jack had always thought that Ryan helped because of him. Looking back now, every word felt like a dagger piercing into his chest. He would carry these secrets and let them rot. He was selfish and unwilling to give them a chance at a deeper love. The car slowly drove off into the night, Jack gradually disappearing from the jubilant festivities behind him.